In 1994, Eric Nakamura launched a zine called Giant Robot, a photocopied, hand-stapled fanboys collection of anime, kung fu movies, Japanese punk bands, and skateboarding. Well, 30 years later, what started as a personal hobby has become a showcase of pop culture, centering on Asian and Asian American artists. An art exhibit celebrating the world of Giant Robot is currently on view at the Japanese American National Museum.
Giant Robot started as a zine in 1994, kind of a hobby, and then it little by little turns into this publication. It gets everywhere, and then it becomes stores and an art gallery, and it's like Asian American, it's Asian, but it's also non-Asian, and it's punk rock, which is everybody. It's into kung fu movies, it's into food, toy figures that are designer. It's into all the fun stuff, I think, that got kind of not paid attention to by mainstream media. If you liked anime in '94, you were a freak, but now it's just common, right?
The first time I encountered a Giant Robot magazine was probably back in the year 2000, and my mind was immediately blown because it just contained everything I was interested in and had so many things that I didn't know about.
Making a magazine was definitely about sharing interests and cool things. Gets to the pages, and then maybe from there it becomes maybe something I put in the shops, or becomes art that I curate. It all kind of stems from just really liking something, and I think that's this exhibition is the same thing. It's kind of like an open palette. It's like, do whatever you think is great here, and that's what they let me do. I think a Biennale is like an Italian art fair, right? There's an actual art fair called that, and it's like the Venice Biennale. Usually so serious and stodgy, but in this case, it's meant to be fun and tongue-in-cheek and kind of a joke. Rain Sito's work is the smallest in this exhibition, but it might be the most powerful. It's little tiny drawings that are done with a fountain pen, right? A sharpened nib fountain pen. And then you look closely and the details are endless. You can look at it with a magnifying glass and you would just still not see everything. This is art by Yosuke Yamamoto, and it's an installation. It captures this idyllic town, but he uses recycled material. It's this kind of story about Yosuke's life where he comes from Japan, but then moves to America at 15 and never really goes home. This is our 30th year of Giant Robot, so it being 30 years, I think that kind of was a theme in its own. There's a little bit of a throwback, but then a little bit of a current. And I think almost every artist actually does that, whether it's on purpose or not.
So in 2007, Eric was putting together the first Giant Robot Biennale, and that was my first experience showing in a museum. And it was amazing to kind of, work in that context, put my work in that environment.
Yeah, I rejected his art the first time I met him. It was way too polished and nothing like what I was showing. And it just didn't fit, which is ironic because today it's like anybody anywhere would want to show his work.
I'm primarily a painter, but I've started doing a lot more sculpture. And I always wanted to bring my characters to life. So it's been great to create a work such as this, which is called the woodcutter. He's carrying logs on his back, and the edges are cut, revealing faces that are representative of the spirits within inanimate objects. So in Shintoism, that's an idea where every inanimate object is imbued with a spirit or a character.
Giorgiko, a husband and wife team, making really beautiful paintings and work that is inspiring and also historical.
We are Giant Robot artists, so it's always special when Eric invites us to something. This museum has a special place in Darren's heart and in his family history.
We wanted to create something that would really speak to the Japanese American experience, and that theme of feeling like a sojourner, like you're not necessarily fully home. This piece here was our last piece that we had done, and for me it's the most personal because it has to do with my grandma, my bachan, and her personal experience post-war after she came out of the Japanese American internment camps.
A lot of the exhibitions I've done in the past, I think, were just showing the moment, but this one I think is definitely showing a little bit of history. I think a lot of people have a journey that they're sort of telling. So this is co-editor Martin, and that's me. And then we're at a zine fest, I think, or maybe it's a convention, a comic convention of some sort. And I think that was just something that we did just to get the word out. And making a magazine, it's like something that you can't do from an office chair. You have to get out and actually experience things if you're really into it. And I think that's sort of what this wall also shows. It's going somewhere, interviewing somebody, experiencing it, and living it. I remember we would get letters, like handwritten letters, and they would come from places like Columbus, Ohio. And not just one, but there would be like 10. Many of the names weren't even Asian. And I would be like, oh wow, look, like our audience is completely mixed. It's like kind of this collection of misfits all over the country and world, you know? That's kind of the cool part about it.
The giant robot is currently at the Japanese American National Museum through September 1st. Go to janm.org for hours and ticket information.